There are different kinds of toys in this world. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. A voice can be heard as someone recites the Lord's Prayer, like a preparation when they vanquish evil. However, the evil being didn't respond since he was immersed in thinking something. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Forever and ever, the prayer continues. With determination in his eyes, the holy guardian knight chanted the prayer. Amen. It was a sign the prayer was finished. Decked out in gleaming silver armor, and wielding a sleek longsword, the paladin knight can be considered a formidable force to be reckoned with. One of the greatest of his kind, the knight lets out a battle cry. However, the ominous being is annoyed by the knight's voice and resolved to extinguish his life. In a swift and merciless strike, the holy knight died. As the story unfolds, the events and scenes will only continue to get worse. The wicked entity spat out curse words at the fallen knight, not showing a shred of grace or compassion, which just shows that he is a barbarian and a monster. Not long after that, another human is approaching, which indicates that he is here to kill the monster. He is most likely be a veteran swordsman of noble status, admired for his skills in combat. The elderly gentleman is in a rush, as today is a special day, marking the anniversary of his marriage to his beloved wife. He draws out his sword ready for battle. You can clearly see in his face that he is very experienced in fights for a long time. It's your wedding anniversary. The monster is slightly curious. A monster with the ability to think and in utter lack of mercy is the most dangerous kind of all. Soon, bloodshed happens, but it was clearly a one-sided battle since the old man was slaughtered viciously. The evil monster just casually laughs at the human, since with all that speech and bravado, all of that is meaningless in front of death. Another voice of a human intrudes the monster's place again, and this occurrence is apparently just a normal thing. This time, it was a sweet and innocent-looking girl, who seemed to be out of place in this harsh, unforgiving environment. The toys that the monster refers to are actually humans. This means that this ruthless monster is only looking at humans as mere playthings, toying with them before ultimately taking their lives. When they come to this location, the monster is actually the final boss and overlord of the tower. This is why countless humans ventured into this realm, seeking to defeat the monster. The girl launched a barrage of spells at the monster, revealing herself to be a wizard. However, her previously cute demeanor was gone and replaced by a flurry of curses, as she fiercely battled her opponent. Though her appearance may have lost its innocence, her fierce attitude was understandable, given the monster's threat to humanity, creating hatred and a desire for revenge. The monster was hurt by being referred to as a goat head. But shortly after, the once confident girl was reduced to tears, pleading for mercy and begging for her life. The monster's hand is revealed, as the mage girl was now in a pitiful state, held captive by the monster, her clothes torn and disheveled. The monster was larger in stature than a human, though not as massive as a building. Its formidable physical strength is evident, as it effortlessly held the human in its grip. Additionally, the ruthless monster tends to hold grudges, as it was still mad being called a goat head. This monster has no mercy for human life, and plays with it to cure his boredom. The monster makes its appearance, which is resembling a humanoid demon, with the head of a goat and with metal cuffs around his arms, with its scarlet eyes blazing, exuding an aura of intimidation. The monster charged toward the swordsman. On the other hand, the human swordsman can only defend against the incoming attack. However, the swordsman's weapon proved to be of no use as the monster was too fast for him, slicing him apart before he could even react. The monster looked down upon the humans and treated them as mere playthings to pass its time in the tower. It does not feel sympathy nor pity and only seeks fun and enjoyment for itself. The monster's name is Baphomet. A fitting name for a demon-like monster. Baphomet is the ruler of this particular tower, and is the assessor of humans. Baphomet identifies the levels and capabilities of the humans that come to his tower, but none of them really survived after meeting him. He sits on the high throne and is a lone entity that does not have minions or any guards as his followers on this floor. Since he can handle the humans alone, some might think that it might be easier to defeat Baphomet just because he is alone, but they are severely mistaken. As someone who is the final boss of the tower, Baphomet has immeasurable strength. Humans are Baphomet's greatest joy, but they are also his greatest despair, since these toys always broke down and die after playing with him. For a short time, Baphomet has been all alone on the floor for a very long time, and he is bound to the tower, unable to leave. Baphomet sighed in frustration as he held the lifeless body of the latest human he had played with, another toy that had met its end. It might sound pretty lonely, but don't take pity on him. Since he is an enemy of humanity, Baphomet approaches the enormous door of his floor. He can only stand there, since he is doomed to remain in the tower forever. Bound by its walls, this door will never open for him. Baphomet can only wait for humans to come, so he can decide what to do to ease his boredom. Even when humans open the door for him, there is an unknown power of the tower that prevents him from leaving. As he sits upon his throne, contemplating the emptiness of his existence, Baphomet sometimes wonders if there might be more to life. As Baphomet waits for his next victim to arrive, he is pondering these thoughts, while muttering a stream of curses and insults under his breath. There is a deep-seated sense of loneliness and restlessness within Baphomet. He longs for a challenge worthy of his immense power and intellect. Yet he finds himself trapped within the confines of the tower, unable to venture beyond its walls. Only time will tell, but for now, Baphomet does not have a choice but to wait and bide his time, while raging his frustration on the door that is trapping him at the same time. Suddenly, a phone behind him rings. The unknown object for Baphomet kept making a loud noise, which interrupted Baphomet in his internal suffering. For being lonely, it must be an object left behind by humans as they enter his floor. Baphomet stopped his rampage for a moment, as he heard the object brought by a human make noise non-stop. He suddenly have an idea to explore this thing, since he had nothing to do. After some time, a laughing sound is heard. It was from another human warrior that came to the highest floor to challenge Baphomet. Judging from his rowdy entrance, you can tell that he is an overconfident and rude swordsman that is seeking fame after he defeats Baphomet and brings home the trophy to boast after that. He must be sweating because he is nervous. He then declared to kill Baphomet, but before he could finish what he is saying, he was abruptly stopped and beaten up. He was badly assaulted by Baphomet without hesitation. Baphomet looks at the swordsman with a cold expression. Considering his request for mercy, the human cries and pleads with Baphomet to let him live. Baphomet approaches the human, which made the human to cry out even more. Baphomet gestures his arms to the swordsman, holding the mobile phone. Baphomet was curious about this object, and asks the human what is it for. It was just a small interest for Baphomet, who seeks new thrills in his life. The human explained to Baphomet how to use the cell phone and began teaching Baphomet all the things about the phone and its functions. Baphomet then utilized the phone to satisfy his excitement and interest. The human was spared because he taught Baphomet about using the mobile phone. The human even began to get close to Baphomet. After some time just exploring the device, Baphomet could not help but be more curious about the world humans live in. To be able to produce such an interesting object, with so many fun things in one device. As the swordsman continues to act friendly and teach Baphomet things, He slowly starts to gain the monster's trust, and Baphomet begins to open up to him. However, the human swordsman had other plans. While Baphomet is immersed in playing with the phone, the human slowly gets up and picks up a sword. He was actually planning to let Baphomet's guard down to him, so he can sneak an attack on him and kill Baphomet from behind. Since he doesn't stand a chance of attacking Baphomet head-on, the swordsman never wanted to be trapped in the tower forever and be friends with a monster. However, Baphomet with his keen senses casually detects the hostility and kills the human. Baphomet then began to have fun in the tower, even if the humans didn't come. Also, Baphomet thought about gathering all items that the humans dropped, because he might find another interesting object to pass his time aside from the mobile phone. He started studying things about humans all by himself, since no one will be teaching him anymore, and he has all the time in the world. It's just that not all things that humans left are useful or fun for him. Baphomet explored and discovered things from the items of humans. With that, another amount of time passed by, and Baphomet kept himself busy. Humans don't come here every day in this floor, so he had more time to spare. Baphomet also found pictures of humans that are used as a memento of their loved ones. With this, he thought that he was knowing better about how they lived. Baphomet also has a mobile phone play all kinds of music and leisure while he is relaxing. It takes a lot of preparation and resources to make it to the highest floor of the tower, where Baphomet resides, so humans don't come that often. Many brave adventurers have lost their lives attempting to defeat him, so only the strongest and most well-prepared groups dare to make the journey. But there was a problem with these human things. The more Baphomet knew about the human world, the more thirst he has in escaping the tower and see the world outside. Baphomet longs to get out of the tower, but he knows he is bound by it and cannot escape. He often wonders about the world outside and imagines what it would be like to roam freely without being confined to a single floor of a tower. Baphomet also came to know about the existence of God that can grant wishes. Baphomet wonders if there is really a God who can grant wishes, and if so, whether his own wish to leave the tower could be granted. He snaps out in his thought about being pathetic in begging someone when the phone rang. All of these ideas are slowly enroaching him, so Baphomet stops. He thought of himself as a supreme being and should not rely on some mere hope. Baphomet was sitting and lazing around when he heard a loud noise. All of a sudden, the tower is howling. The sound was deafening as it reverberated on the walls of the tower. This is a sign that someone is approaching the floor where Baphomet is. Baphomet sits on the throne again to wait and welcome the new challenger, as he always does before humans enter his floor. Baphomet doesn't expect humans to play with him anymore, since they are easily killed. He longs for a human that can provide him with a real challenge, someone that he can fight with all his strength and skill. He starts to wonder if there is anyone out there who can truly match him in combat. In other words, he is a battle freak. The human finally entered Baphomet's place. The silver-haired human seemed confident and determined, with a sharp gaze that met Baphomet's without fear. Baphomet sits still on his throne unaffected, since he is already used to such a scenario. As the human entered, Baphomet's scarlet eyes flickered with interest. He stood up from his throne and observed the new toy that he will be playing with. And without warning, the fight started. With that, Baphomet charged toward the human, his body moving with incredible speed. The human reacted quickly, unsheathing his sword and deflecting Baphomet's first strike. Even though the human was quite surprised, he still managed to defend Baphomet's attack. On the other hand, Baphomet was also amazed that the human is somehow different. The human leaps behind to negate Baphomet's destructive force. The human's movements were precise and calculated. Baphomet, however, was not to be underestimated. As his attacks were ferocious and relentless, his movements were fast and unpredictable. The human responded by attacking with his bluish sword aura. This must be a skill only from those higher swordsmen who mastered the sword. The bluish flame sword aura slashed and radiated towards Baphomet. The bluish flame is hotter than a regular flame and has more destructive power. Baphomet, who was attacked from behind, tried to instinctively dodge the flame, but it was approaching too fast. Baphomet thought that he finally met a worthy toy that will entertain him better. Baphomet smiles excitedly at the thought of it. The new human is definitely strong. Since the sword slash manages to create a huge explosion, the explosion caused immense damage to the surrounding area, where Baphomet is. The human waited for the explosion to settle and see if it dealt a blow to the monster. However, it didn't leave a single scratch since Baphomet activated his magical barrier. Baphomet readies himself to launch another attack. The human also mirrors Baphomet and puts pressure on his legs to catapult himself. The two of them engaged in a fierce battle, their swords clashing against each other, with a metallic clang once again. With an insatiable hunger for battle, Baphomet, the monstrous being, is eagerly gearing up for a showdown against the new human opponent, and brimming with excitement. Baphomet was fast and powerful, but the human was skilled with the sword and nimble, dodging and blocking Baphomet's attacks with ease. Baphomet started to remember the feeling of fighting with all he got in the combat. Baphomet prepares an attack with a magic spell. The human's movements were swift and graceful, almost as if he was dancing, as he dodges the incoming spells. He sidestepped the chain-binding spells and leapt into the air effortlessly. Baphomet continues casting numerous binding spells, so that the human will get tired. Suddenly, Baphomet jumps and follows the man closely behind. Even with his huge body, he still has tremendous speed and catches up to the human. Baphomet is enjoying the battle. With instantaneous speed, Baphomet closes in on the man and swings his sword in a vertical arc. The human senses the incoming danger and kicks Baphomet reflexively with all his strength, while in mid-air. Baphomet was suddenly interrupted in his thoughts by the unexpected counterattack. He was slammed against the wall far away. Not only that, the human quickly changed his sword grip to prepare for an attack, while Baphomet was still thrown away and slashes his blade into a wide arc towards Baphomet. Baphomet is still on the ground because of the impact, and decided not to evade. He is still thinking something about the human. The flames are getting nearer and nearer, but Baphomet is still on the ground. The human swordsman's eyes are filled with ferociousness and determination. Baphomet's scarlet eyes flickered with interest and intense viciousness. Envy is the emotion that has developed as Baphomet continues to desire freedom and privilege the same as humans. The human's sword started to shine and was surrounded with bluish flame skill. As he makes another big attack, the man leaps forward and dives towards Baphomet. Baphomet berserks and reveals his true form. Baphomet transformed into a monster with an ominous crimson aura and runes covering him, and jet black wings that span widely on Baphomet's back made him seem like a fallen angel. He is also covered with a thicker shield. The transformation was so sudden and powerful that the air around them vibrated with its force. Baphomet got stronger and faster when he unleashed his true form, making it nearly impossible to track his movements. With the naked eye, Baphomet also brandished his huge scythe, taking out his main weapon. As he gets serious, the man was caught off guard by the sudden change, but he quickly regained his composure and defended himself with his sword while retreating. The two continued to battle, each one trying to gain the upper hand. Baphomet's transformed state gave him a significant advantage, but the man was resilient to defeat the monster and claim victory on the highest floor of the tower. Baphomet continued to attack relentlessly, but the man was able to keep up with his movements, his sword flashing through the air as he countered, parried, and dodged the monster's attacks. The man charged forward with his sword towards Baphomet's shield barrier. Even if the human was struggling to penetrate Baphomet's defenses, he pushed harder. Baphomet started clouding his judgment because of envy and desperation. Soon, the clash of swords reverberates with a metallic ring. Attacking, defending, evading, and fighting without holding back is the best feeling. The swords clashed incessantly for a long time, as they continued their fierce duel. Baphomet started casting multiple destructive spells, so that the human can't defend them all at once. Numerous light rays beam towards the human. In fact, those are actually various weapons coated with aura magic, and are darting through at such tremendous speed. Baphomet is not only a master of combat, but also a master of weapons that can wield and control different types of weapons to their greatest potential. Baphomet reaffirms himself to not lose to anyone, since he is the lord of the tower. The human tries to defend against the attack with his aura blade, drawing its maximum strength. He deflected the weapons and slashed his sword in a wide arc to create a flame wave. Baphomet stares violently at the human, who still has the energy to fight him. He keeps getting angrier at the thought of losing to a mere plaything. Suddenly, a voice starts echoing in Baphomet's ears as it whispers that despite all his powers, and being the ruler of the tower, he is still trapped like a bird in a cage. The voice was ethereal and resonated with Baphomet, making him distracted in the middle of the battle. The human took this opportunity while Baphomet is standing still, and launched a powerful attack. Baphomet is still preoccupied with his thoughts, while the human is approaching. The bluish flame envelops Baphomet's shield like a fire that will never extinguish. Baphomet thought, how dare a mere human is able to push him back in the battle. However, the blue flames continued to get stronger and engulfs Baphomet, and he can only helplessly defend until the fire dies out. Baphomet would never have thought that he would meet a human that is on par with him, because Baphomet got careless when he was distracted by that unknown voice. He was not able to cancel out the human's ultimate flame skill. The human gazes sharply and intimidatingly towards Baphomet, in the midst of the flames, an eye that is full of confidence, and without a shred of fear on death pierces through Baphomet. As he thought that maybe the reason humans can have such confidence is because of their freedom which he longs for. Baphomet can only be jealous of those eyes, since even though he is the final boss of the tower, he is not free, in body and in soul. Baphomet started taking damage as the flames penetrated his barrier and burned him. This human is a toy, Baphomet thought. He is a human. He is a human, Baphomet keep repeating those words. A human, someone who embodies freedom and strength. I want to become like that too. Baphomet's desire and envy grew stronger and stronger. As the battle rages on, Baphomet is jealous of those humans' eyes. That's full of life unlike his. Baphomet yearns to escape from this place to become free and strong like the human. I want to become a human. That was Baphomet's despaired plea. At this time, a robotic voice was heard. It's as if the tower heard Baphomet's deepest desire and decided to give him an opportunity. Suddenly, an unknown voice is heard along with a message that says to kill the hunter raven. It is a main quest issued by the system, accompanying a reward of granting a wish to Baphomet if he is able to kill the human. However, while Baphomet was preoccupied and confused by the system's quest, Raven stabbed and pierced through Baphomet's body with his sword. Raven is actually the name of the human hunter. More bluish flames burst out and burned Baphomet. While he was stabbed, the walls of the tower began shaking and crumbling. You have cleared the Tower of Abyss, a system message popped out. However, this message is clearly not for Baphomet. It is for Raven, the one who defeated the final boss of the tower and cleared it. Even though the system gave Baphomet a chance to achieve his wish, it seems he will not be able to accomplish it since he is the one who is killed by Raven instead. Baphomet watched Raven exiting the floor as he slowly perishes. He is in the brink of death. With his last struggle, Baphomet grabs the sword in his chest and attempts to pull it out. A huge explosion occurred in the topmost floor of the Tower of Abyss. The Tower of Abyss collapsed and fell apart after it was cleared, and many people, especially the excavators and construction workers, are there to retrieve the tower's remains and clean up the area. The Tower of Abyss is one of the most difficult dungeon towers, and many humans died from it. However, this time, they seem to have found someone who survived. A human can be seen standing on the top of the rubbles. The workers approached the human and tried to strike a conversation by checking up on him. The human was confused. The human was actually Baphomet. He is just so confused right now since he thought that he definitely died back then. In Baphomet's last moments, he stood up, which made Raven bewildered, since Baphomet clearly died and the tower was already cleared. Raven was not sure if it was Baphomet's skill or just pure willpower that Baphomet suddenly resurrects, which caught him off guard. Raven quickly reacted and burned Baphomet again with his flame skill. However, even with his charred and melted body, Baphomet seemed to have become immortal. It was not immortality, but Baphomet became invincible for a short period of time after his death. Suddenly, blood started to flow on Raven's mouth. He was injured. It was a quick and precise attack. Baphomet came close and pierced Raven's chest with his hand. Baphomet's attack made a hole in Raven's body as his hand penetrated through the back. Not only that, Baphomet grabs Raven's heart while he is still being ablazed. Right then, Baphomet crushed the heart with all his might as the finishing blow. That was Baphomet's last memory before death, since the invincibility skill ran out. The workers were suspicious of the human who appeared in the vicinity of the tower and asked him to identify himself, since he might not be a registered hunter. It might be a standard protocol to ask, because it's illegal to trespass without permit. But Baphomet clearly has no identity yet, since he just reincarnated right now in the human world. As evidence, Baphomet's system quest to kill Raven is now completed, and his wish to become a human is granted. Baphomet, he shouted his name at the humans in the sight. Baphomet is ecstatic at the thought of being able to live as a human, unlike a confined being. Will Baphomet be able to adapt and blend in the human society? Or will he return to his old self and rampage as a heartless monster?
That's all, folks. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting more videos about good reads you may like, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you soon.